Hello everyone, in this video let's make a fun, cute little robot butterfly. So some kind of a robotic little insect. Alright, so to get started what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the wings. So I'm going to grab this in my poly modeling. I'm just going to grab this polygon cylinder and just drag a cylinder right in the middle. So this is going to be my wing, so I do need it to be thin. I'm gonna smush it to something about this size. I think this will work. And now what I need to do is I would like to go into my top view by pressing spacebar and just tapping into the top view. I can press F to frame my wing. And another thing I could do is I can hold on the X key, and if I wanted to I could snap it to the center. That's one way of doing it. Another way you could do it is obviously zero out your X, Y, and Z. So if you just drag and select the top three and just press 0 on your keyboard and then press enter, that's going to zero them out, including the Y, which was the height, right? So to make this look like a wing, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do something really simple. I'm just going to grab this bottom point, and my soft select is on in the tool settings. If you double click on this transform tool, you should see your tool settings, and I just have mine parked right next to it. And if you press B on your keyboard, that's going to be the shortcut for soft select. And I currently have it set to let's set it to surface. Doesn't really matter because we only have one object. And I'm just gonna crank it up all the way to 100, but just see what makes sense on your end as far as the scale goes. But essentially what I would like to do is make it more of a, almost like a drop, you know, like a water drop, right? So I'm gonna grab these points here. Let's go ahead and turn on our symmetry. And if we wanted to, we can dial down our soft select and just maybe let's just sculpt this into something that looks, I don't know, kind of like almost like a water drop, right? Maybe this could be in a little more, so something like that. All right, so that's going to be the wing. And I do like to turn on my wireframe when I model, just so I could see all the edges. I think that's important. So let's go ahead, jump into our perspective view, and I'm gonna raise my wing up a little bit, and I can also make it a little smaller. I feel like it's a little bit too large. So I'm gonna press F. All right, cool. So this is gonna be our wings, and I'm happy with this. Next, let's go ahead and create the body. So for the body, I'm just gonna grab this box and just drag a box on my grid here, and then I'm gonna go to mesh and let's do a smooth. And then now if I go to the attribute editor, I can change my method from linear to maybe exponential. And as far as the division levels, I think I'm happy with 2. Again, it's just something really simple, right? So this is going to be the body of the little robot butterfly. And another thing we can do is let's add just a little more detail or shape to this. So for example, one thing we could do is I'm going to press B to turn off the soft select. I can double click on this whole entire edge to select it. I'm going to grab my scale tool and just scale this in to kind of straighten that line. So now this line is perfectly straight, right? Which means I can go into my, if you right click and go into your face mode, you can hold on the shift key and select a bunch of them, right? And I do have symmetry on, so it's doing both sides, right? Now if I hold on the shift key and press period on my keyboard, it's going to grow my selection. And what I want to do is select all the polys all the way up to that edge that we just straightened. And this is going to be, I'm looking here, this is going to be Z, this is the front, so this is going to be the back of our little robot butterfly. So I'm just going to press extrude and let's figure out what makes sense. So maybe for the back it's going to be a little robot butterfly, so maybe I can do something like this. That's going to be his back. I think that's cool. If we wanted to, we can double click on this edge and let's click on bevel and maybe just bevel it just a little bit. So that's great. I can also add another bevel here as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click bevel and maybe tighten it up a little. And I can even add another segment inside if we wanted to. And that's going to allow me to select that segment inside, grab my scale tool, and actually let me jump out of the symmetry mode. I want to make sure I'm centered, and let's just scale this in a little bit and move it back. So that's going to create kind of a, almost like a cut that's going to go inside this mesh, right? So now if I wanted to see what that actually looks like, I can turn off my wireframe, select my mesh and press 3 on my keyboard, and you can see how very nicely this is automatically smoothed out. It's giving us a beautiful, clean, sharp edge, right? So that's really cool. I'm gonna select this and press 1, just so I kind of stay in my low poly mode when I model. I like to do that. That's just a preference. Now let's talk about the front. So the front of the face of this little robot butterfly is going to be maybe should be all of this. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to straighten this line by just kind of scaling in. I'm grabbing this yellow one and just kind of dragging it towards the edge so you can see it's nice and straight. All right, and just like before, for the face, I'm gonna right click, go to face, and let's go ahead and holding down the shift key, select all of these middle faces. Then hold down the shift key, press period on your keyboard to grow your selection. And now this is gonna be the head. So for the head, maybe just to change the shape just a little bit, maybe I can make it a little smaller. I can also maybe pull it forward a little bit. So it's almost like a little rocket, right? And then let's go ahead and click extrude, and using the blue axes I can pull this out very carefully, so I have something like that. And maybe that could be the face of my character. Alright, so let's do the same thing as we did on the other one. Let's double click on this and press bevel, and let's just tighten these up a little bit. So I think that works. And if I press on it and press 3, I can see what that looks like. It's kind of interesting, a little baby robot, right? Another thing we could do is let's go ahead and make sure that this is indeed centered. So I'm gonna go into my channel box and I'm gonna zero this out as well. Okay, and I'm gonna zero this also. So now I know they're both centered. And let's kind of put our wings into position. So I'm just gonna grab my rotate tool and let me just figure out where so the front is gonna be. Let's go in the top view. So the front of the wings is going to be somewhere around here, and they're way too large right now, so let's scale this down. So maybe this is just artistic preference, but something like this I think is cute, so let's go with this. And I don't really want to make sure it stays clear from his front here, so I'm going to rotate this a little bit, just move it into position, and just kind of have the corner, you know, I'm not making anything complex, but just have the corner kind of touching the body, right? So that's great. So that's going to be one wing. Let's select it, press Ctrl D, and now if I switch this to world, I can move this down, press R, scale it, maybe make it a little smaller, press E, and then I can rotate it, and press W and move it into position. So maybe the back wing could be somewhere, I don't know, somewhere around here. Cool. So now what I would like to do is let's select both of them, and before we flip them over, let's add maybe a little design to this, and maybe make it look a little more interesting, right? So one other thing we could do is, let's double click on this edge here and press bevel. And I would like to create a couple segments. The reason I'm creating these segments is because I think it would be cute if we added, it's not a B but per se, but it would be cool if these lines had different material and color than the body. So I'm creating a little extra, a few extra edges to play with. So I'm going to move this over and just kind of make sure that this one is the same width as this. I think that's kind of cool. All right. We can even give our guy some eyes. So for the eyes, I'm going to select both of these faces here, and I'm going to click on extrude, and I'm going to turn off keep faces together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press extrude one more time and kind of pull these in, and these are going to be, well, we can pull them out as well, but I'm going to pull mine in. So these are going to be the eyes, and I'm currently still in the smooth state mode, so I can press 1 to see what that looks like. But honestly, at this point, pressing 3 is what I'm after. So something like this, right? I think that's cute. Okay, very nice. Next, let's go ahead and add a little design to these wings. So for that, I'm just going to grab another cylinder, drag a cylinder, and let's squish it. Something like that. I'm going to make sure it's zeroed out as well. And let me position it in the center. So maybe this could be like the center design part. And I'm doing it, I'm going to make it thick enough where it shows up on both the bottom and top. I kind of like that. I think that's cool. And let's go into our top view and just do control. I'm going to select this, press Control D, and I'm going to make a smaller circle. But to scale this, I'm not going to use the middle. I'm going to use this green one right here because I want to only scale in X and Y. I mean X and Z. I don't want to scale in Y. So that's why I'm using this one to scale. And now what I can do is I can press W and just put them around the wing. So let's do Control D, put it here, press R, scale it only again in X and Z. Press W to move it. Let's do one more. Control D, move it over here, press R and scale it down. Press W to move it into position. So just have like a little design, right? Something cute. Now let's go ahead and press Control D again and move one to this other wing as well. And now I can press R and scale that in. And let's just steal this guy. I'm gonna press Control D and move it over here. So that's gonna be the design of the wings. Now you can do, of course, a lot more, but I think this works. All right, cool. So now let's go ahead and select all of this, all the wing geometry, and I'm gonna combine it by pressing this button here and then do a clear history, and that's gonna clear out my outliner, right? So now I can select my wings, and I'm gonna click on this button here, mirror geometry, and that's gonna flip it over, and you can see what my settings are. It's just default settings, but I'm flipping it on X. And now if I go into my perspective window, I have something like this. So this is my little butterfly robot character, and I am happy with this. So now let's just add, we're not going to texture this or anything, let's just add a little material to this so we can see what that looks like, right? So the first thing I can do is let's select the body of this. And I do see some history on this object, so I'm going to select all of them and just clear my history. So I'm going to select the body, right click, and do, I'm going to go to assign favorites and do AI standard surface. If you don't have AI standard surface here, you can always do assign new material and then go to Arnold and then do AI standard surface here. So it's the same thing, right? So now I have this, and I'm going to call this AI body. Okay. And then let's go ahead and create some colors for this. So for the body, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's just make it kind of, it's a robot, so I'm not going to make it too colorful. Let's just go with something, I'm going to go with something gray. Of course you can play around and see what looks nice on your end, but I'm going to turn the roughness down so it's nice and sparkly. And this is metal, so I'm going to turn this metal all the way up, right? And it's going to turn black because I don't have any colors to reflect in the scene. So let's go ahead and turn the lights on, and let's go ahead and add Arnold Lights Sky Dome. And now what you want to do is you want to download an HDRI image offline somewhere and plug it into here. So I'm going to grab one file. I'm going to go with this one. Alright, now you can see how it's being reflected, which is really cool. Which also means let's go ahead and select this again, go to AI body, and then we can adjust the amount of roughness we have, right? Okay, so I think that's really cool. And maybe I want it just to be a little lighter. I'm going to make this back part darker, so I'm going to select all of these faces, grow my selection all the way to the end. I'm going to right click and assign yet another material to this, and let's call this AI back. And maybe for the back, maybe the back would be black. So let's do the same thing, metal all the way up, roughness kind of down. Let's see what that looks like. So it's kind of a dark back, and you have gray body. And then for the stripes, I think it would be cool if these were kind of orange stripes. Gonna right click, material, assign new material. Let's do another one. And this would be, let's call this orange, AI orange. I'm gonna make them orange, so it's kind of a red orange I like. And then let's do metallic all the way up again, because again it's a robot. And let's do roughness, something like this. That looks pretty cool. For the eyes, let's, or actually the head, let's make the head different color as well. So I'm gonna, and holding down the shift key, I'm gonna grow my selection all the way so it selects his entire head. So something like that. And for his head, let's make it yet another color. So I'm gonna do another material, and I'm gonna do AI head. And for the head, I'm gonna leave it, I kind of like white. I think that's kind of cool. I like this plasticky white, and it's not gonna be metal. I'm gonna leave mine almost like a Nintendo kind of a white plastic look. I can turn the shininess down a little bit, and we can turn the white all the way up, and I'm pretty happy with this. Again, kind of like a plastic meets metal, right? And for the eyes, I'm going to select both of these eyes, grow my selection, right click, go to yet another material. This time I'm going to call it AI eyes. And for the eyes, I think I would like my eyes to be kind of yellow. And I do want them to glow. So I'm going to go to emission, turn my emission all the way up, and choose yellow for kind of an orange yellow for the emission. And let's pump this up. Let's give it a 5. Just something that's really bright, right? Because it's the energy of whatever he's running on is kind of glowing through his eyes. So I think that's cool. We could also do something fun, like maybe let's select this edge here. And let's assign AI eyes to this as well. So that's going to be like an emissive glowing color too for our little robot. You can, pull out a little needle maybe for like his tush. We could do that, or can even give him antennas. But I'm just keeping it super simple just for this exercise. All right, so let's go with this. Next, I'm going to select the wings, and for the wings, let's just make them something that we already created. So we have an orange or black or gray. Let me see what gray looks like. I'm going to go with gray, I think. And for these guys here, let's select all of these and let's assign something that we already have. How about we'll do the orange, and then I'm gonna grab all of these circles, holding down the shift key. I'm just simply double clicking on all of this. Let's go with something like, let's go with the yellow, the glowing eyes. All right, so cool. So I have something unusual. I know, I'm just kind of having fun, right? And we can make this a lot more complex, but I think this is cool. Let's go ahead and turn off our lights just so we can see this a little better. Nice. And now what I would like to do is let's get these wings flapping, right? To flap them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to merge this into one and clear history. And now I'm going to double click on this and call it bot butterfly. Okay. Now I do need to press 3 for this to make sense. You can see what that looks like. And now let's go ahead and turn off our wireframe. And let's do a quick test render before we make these flapping, right? Now, if I wanted to, I could move this in. I could see that if I... all right, so let's move these in a little more. So I'm going to double click on this. Let's go into our top view. All right, so in my top view, I'm going to also turn off the lights. And now I'm going to go to... Let's turn this back on. I'm going to grab this vert here. And let's just pull this into position so it's kind of touching. I'm going to do the same thing here. And let's do the same thing with this here. All right, very cool. Let's go back into this view. And let's just do a quick render and see what this actually looks like if you render this out, right? Before we make them flap. So to see what this looks like, I could go, let's go into settings. I'm gonna switch this initially to just 1K. And what I'm gonna do is let's check I'm gonna click on my sky dome light, and I'm going to give myself more samples. So I'm gonna do 4 and 4. And let's give our camera 4 and diffuse. I'm gonna do a 3. All right, and let's just see what this looks like. And also I'm gonna click on the camera and turn off the camera visibility for the background. Let's do a quick render. All right, so this is what it looks like. It currently still doesn't look very smooth. So let's see if we can select our character, and in the when you select it in your attribute editor under the shape, let's turn our subdivision to Cat Clark, and let's do iterations. Let's do something like 2, and let's try this again. Alright, so that gives us kind of a much smoother result, and I'm pretty happy with this. Now let's go ahead and see if we can make these guys flap real quick, right? To flap them around. So make sure you press Ctrl S to save your work. And I'm gonna press spacebar and go into my top view. And just for the sake of, so we can focus on what we're looking at, let's click on this button here to turn off all the materials. I'm gonna leave the lights on, I'm fine with that. And what I'm gonna do next is switch to rigging, go to skeleton and do, let's do create a joint. And let's just plop a joint right in the center, right there. And to see it, you have to click on this button here so you can see the little dot. And then let's change the radius from 0.5 to something like, let's do something large like 20 or even more. How about we do 40? So this is going to be kind of the body, right? Very nice. Next, I'm going to click on the joints again, and let's go ahead and create a joint from, let's go on from here to here. All right, and then press enter. And let's do it again from here to here, press enter. Let's go, let's mirror them by going to skeleton, mirror joints. Let's click on our options here. So let's flip it over. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to say apply, so it mirrors over. I'm going to select this one and say apply. So now they're both mirrored over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down shift and select all of my joints for the wings. And then lastly, I'm going to select the body. And then I'm going to press P on my keyboard, P for parenting. That's going to parent everything, which means now if I select the center, you can see everything gets selected. But if I click on each wing individually, right, I can select those as well, right? All right, really cool. So now let's go ahead and select our joints, then hold on the shift key and select the body of the our little robot, and then go to skin, bind skin. Let's click on options. So let me reset these. And I'm gonna leave everything as is and just change the bind mode from closest distance to geodesic voxel and just say apply and close. All right. And now let's go ahead and go into our perspective view. And let's make sure this button is on so we can see our wings. And now if I select this, if I select both, you know what, let's select all of these together. Grab our move tool and switch this to object mode. And now we should be able to see how this is actually working. So we're almost there, but obviously it's deforming in some strange way because we don't want the wings to be deforming. They're not built for deformation, right? We want to keep these straight. And again, this is a robot. So how do we fix the skinning of this? Well, it's really easy. All we need to do is we need to simply select, holding on the shift key, I'm just going to select all the meshes just for this wing here. Then I'm going to go to skin, paint skin weights options. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the joint number. Let's see, which number is it? number 4, and you can see that this joint here is affecting all of these weights on the meshes. And what I need to do is I need to make sure I'm in paint mode, replace, and the opacity and the value are both 1, and just do a flood. And you see what that did. It took over all the weights and assigned them 100% to this joint here, right? So let's do the same thing for the other ones. I'm going to do the same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to face mode, and holding down the shift key, I'm just going to select only these guys here. So for this entire wing, go back into paint mode, and now I'm going to find my wing, which is this one. I'm going to do another flood. So I'm flooding that. All right, and let's just repeat the process on this side. And find the wing, which is going to be number 8, and I'm going to flood that. Very cool. And finally, I'm going to select this and this, and let's flood that final one as well. Very cool. All right, now if I select all the joints again, holding down the shift key, go to rotation, make sure it's in object mode, and just simply try to move them around. You should see them all kind of staying still because now they're assigned 100%, right? Very cool. And you can see how his tush is moving a little bit because there are some weights that are bleeding over from the wings to the body, but you know what? It actually totally works, and I think it looks kind of good. All right, so let's do a simple animation. I'm just gonna do a quick, let's do like a 24 frame animation. I'm currently set at 24 frames per second, which is fine. So let's go to frame 0, and let's go ahead and bring these wings down, and then press S, and then go all the way to 24 and press S, and then go to 12, press S for set key, and then bring this up. So something like that. All right, now if we press play, we should see these flap around. And if we wanted to, we could go to our graph editor, and you can see what the curve currently looks like. For the rotation, it's kind of easing in and out. But honestly, I kind of like this. I think it totally works. I think that's great. So I'm going to leave it. Another thing we could do is now if we want to move this right somewhere else, you could see if I move this over here and press play, it will still totally work, which means we can animate our body to be maybe, you know, let's on frame 1 press S for the body and go to 24 and press S. So let's go 12, and when he brings his wings up, maybe his body can drop down a little bit, right? And what does that look like? Well, it looks like he's flying, at least to me. I know this could probably be tweaked a little, but I think this is super cute. And we could actually turn off the grid as well and just see what that looks like. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and render, and I can see how the wings are going into each other. If that bothers you, which it should, because you are a perfectionist, you want to select both of these, and when he comes up here, let's just go to rotate on object, and let's just figure out if we can pull these back a little, something like that. All right, and let's see if that feels better. Yeah, that looks much better and clean, right? Very cool. Another thing we could do is let's go ahead and just render this out and see what that looks like. Now I'm not seeing much emission here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play right here, and what I'm going to do is go to my settings, and let's figure out why this is not emitting. I think we need to add a post effect, right? So to do this, I'm gonna go to imagers, and let's add a, let's do a lens effect, and let's turn up our strength. So something like that, I think. So now that actually looks like it's glowing, right? It's fine. And the other thing we could do is, you can see that currently it's a little bit noisy still. So one trick you could do is just add all these denoisers, right? So they're gonna clean up the image. I'm just gonna add all three and just see what happens. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Really cool. So now we can of course render this out into a sequence. Another thing we could do is, if you wanted to render this into a sequence, you can bring it into like a PNG sequence into something like Adobe Premiere and add a custom background. Maybe he's in the, you know, in the flower field or something. Or if you wanted to, you can also set a camera background for this image specifically. You know, if you're not gonna merge it with some other custom background. To do that, you can go to environment, and under background, let's just choose something like ray switch. And now if I go to my camera and select on this box here, I can choose, let's do a ramp. I like to use a ramp. And I'm gonna switch this from V ramp to, let's do a circular. And let's go ahead and maybe make a blue sky. So I'm gonna select on this black one here and do like a lighter blue. And then what I'm going to do is select this here and do like a darker blue, and that's going to be my sky. I can also pull this in, and you can see what that looks like. Very cool. Maybe this could be a little more blue. All right, very cool. And let's turn this back a little. All right, and then of course you can also frame it if you want to frame it a little better. And now, there you go. So now if you just quickly render this out, you will have a PNG sequence. If you wanted to render this out and you're not sure how to do that, all you need to do is you can also click on this button here to see what the final render framing looks like. So this is it right here. You can set up your camera, whatever the camera is. You can also animate your camera as well. All right, so now if you want to render this out, of course, all you need to do is go to your settings and go to the common tab, and then you want to change it from the single frame, right, to multiple frames. Like any one of these would work. So I'm going to click on this one. My animation range is ranging from 0 to 24, right? So I'm going to go from, I'm going to actually say that. I'm going to go from 0 to 24. Very nice. My camera is going to be perspective for now, and 1K is fine. And now if I close this, I can render this out as a sequence. So to do that, I'm going to go to rendering, render, and do a render sequence. Go to options, make sure my perspective camera is set. Let's choose the location. All right, nice. I'm going to say select. And now if I render this out, it's going to render out all 24 frames as animation. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you had as much fun as I have, and I will see you in the next one.